The small, tarnished brass key, impossibly cold in my palm, emerged from a dusty box of childhood memories. For years, a faint, almost imperceptible discord had hummed beneath my meticulously ordered life. My adult world, professionally thriving and personally serene, offered superficial calm, yet this nagging dissonance persisted. It wasn't anxiety, but an insistent suspicion that a crucial piece of my baby past had been filed away. That silent, unused key now hinted at a significant, undisclosed event, a story waiting to be unlocked. The comfort of my Aunt Eleanor's stories had always been a warm blanket, but lately, a cold thread had unraveled. She'd speak of Uncle Robert's wise management, how he'd protected my inheritance, the old lakeside property after my parents' accident when I was just a child. His actions were framed as necessary oversight during my vulnerable youth, a shield against chaos. Her narrative was loud, comforting, a steady hum of family loyalty. Yet, beneath that, a profound stillness grew, a quiet conviction that something was fundamentally amiss. That property, my birthright, remained an open loop. It wasn't the noise of suspicion, but the persistent, internal whispers of a different truth that began to resonate. I started to listen to them. The quiet in my life wasn't always a choice. Sometimes, it was an inheritance, a profound void where a vibrant future should have been. When my parents passed too soon, I was barely 16, and their carefully structured trust became my legacy. Its centerpiece was a sprawling coastal property, not just land, but a multi-generational vision for sustainable development, projected to secure my entire future. As a minor, however, control fell to my appointed guardian, Uncle Robert, who was meant to protect this investment until my majority. I envisioned a foundation of innovation and financial freedom. Instead, at 18, I inherited a confusing settlement, a mere fraction of the actual value, and the chilling absence of the coastal estate. The vibrant dream had been systematically stripped away, replaced by the hollowed-out echo of vague explanations and liquidated assets. This wasn't just financial loss. It was the theft of a future, a deliberate dismantling of my birthright. Have you ever felt a deep-seated intuition telling you something wasn't quite right, compelling you to act even when logic hadn't caught up? That gnawing feeling, after weeks of restless nights, finally solidified into an undeniable truth. I couldn't simply let it go. My initial impulse for retribution, born from a white-hot anger, had faded, replaced by something colder, sharper, and far more potent. This wasn't about vengeance, it was about clarity. It was about justice, not just for me, but for the very principle of fair dealing. I realized then that if I wanted answers, I had to forge my own key, unlocking the situation myself. The chaotic noise of my emotions subsided, leaving behind the quiet resolve necessary for strategic action. What began as a vague question mark now demanded a precise exclamation point, meticulously constructed from fact. My strategy became less about lashing out and more about illuminating, gathering every piece of evidence. I needed to understand the full scope of what had transpired, to build an irrefutable case, brick by painstaking brick. This required a methodical approach, a disciplined pursuit of truth that would leave no stone unturned. I began by outlining a meticulous plan of action, a quiet blueprint for what was to come. The quiet hum of my old scanner became the soundtrack to their unraveling. While they enjoyed the illusion of security, my nights were spent sifting meticulously through the past. Old property deeds from county archives revealed forgotten transfers and undisclosed holdings. Probate court filings, patiently obtained, detailed assets that mysteriously vanished from public records, creating a jarring contrast with their declared estates. Archived emails, painstakingly recovered, provided exact timestamps and specific instructions, painting a starkly different picture of their true intentions. Screenshots of their own curated social media posts laid alongside these documents highlighted public statements inconsistent with the paper trail. My quiet consultations weren't just with legal counsel. A forensic accountant systematically charted hidden financial flows, uncovering transfers and forgotten accounts. Each piece of evidence served as a potent pattern interrupt, reframing hidden memories into a coherent, undeniable narrative of calculated deception. He'd always believed his fortresses were impenetrable, meticulously constructed brick by brick over decades of unchallenged authority. His calm was a shield, his dismissiveness a weapon, but even the strongest walls have their weak points. My first move wasn't a shout, but a whisper in the official channels. A public records request, filed by an anonymous entity for a specific zoning variance application dated October 2018, related to his cornerstone development project, landed on his assistant's desk. It wasn't a direct accusation, just a demand for documentation, quietly surfacing the original submission receipt. This showed a filing date that contradicted his own records by nearly 5 months. He might have dismissed *me*, but he couldn't dismiss a government inquiry. I heard, through the quiet hum of the legal grapevine, that his customary unflappable demeanor had fractured, replaced by a new, almost imperceptible tension in his jaw. He called his lawyer, not to fight, but to understand this sudden, unsettling crack in his seemingly flawless edifice. The door to his certainty, once bolted shut, had finally begun to creak open, and the chill wind of accountability was just starting to slip through. The quiet precision of my initial inquiries shattered his false calm. Soon his emails grew aggressive, accusing me of harassment and defamation. He rallied mutual acquaintances, attempting to discredit my character with thinly veiled rumors, desperate to control the narrative. But where he sought chaos, I found clarity. Each frantic message, every voicemail, became another time-stamped entry. His escalating panic contrasted sharply with my measured responses. These minor legal threats and social maneuvers were costing him, driven by a profound fear of exposure, likely a financial misstep or catastrophic blow to his crafted image. My small legal consultation fees felt minor, yet they confirmed his desperate fight, solidifying my resolve to proceed. The conference room's silence was a palpable thing, heavier than the plush chairs and polished table. Across from me, Mark's bluster began to rise even before I opened the binder. I didn't shout, I simply presented. First, the original valuation documents from Section 2, then the forged amendment filed days later, complete with forensic analysis of his signature. Next, the bank statements detailing the diverted funds and the recorded call transcripts where he denied everything. His denials, once so convincing, now sounded hollow against the cold, hard logic of each exhibit. The true story of that catastrophic autumn morning, the hidden mechanics of his deception, was laid bare, piece by irrefutable piece. It was like finally turning the key in a rusty lock, not with force, but with precision, unlocking every veiled memory. His bluster deflated, leaving only the stark, undeniable proof. The silence that followed wasn't empty, it was filled with the clear resonance of truth. The quiet hum of the law office on that crisp Tuesday morning felt entirely different from the chaos of recent months. It was a calm, almost serene process, signing the settlement agreements that finally untangled decades of obligation. The deeds for the inherited property, once a source of bitter contention, were now formally transferred into a new, secure trust I'd established. Each signature, each notarized stamp, reinforced the unyielding boundaries I'd spent so long defining. The shadow of the past, so heavy just months ago, began to recede, revealing a surprisingly clear path forward. This wasn't just about reclaiming assets. It was about laying entirely new foundations for my life, brick by deliberate brick. It made me wonder, what past burdens are you ready to unlock and release to build your own new foundation? The quiet that settled over everything was different from any silence I'd ever known. Not the oppressive quiet of being overlooked, but the profound calm of resolution. Looking back, the woman who once navigated that labyrinth of manipulation feels almost like a distant acquaintance, not the person who now stands firmly on this reclaimed ground. There's a certain weight to knowing you've not only survived, but actively dismantled the forces arrayed against you, piece by calculated piece. The keys, once symbols of what was denied, now represent access, control, and infinite possibility. I remember the cold metal of the original set pressed into my palm during the final handover, a physical artifact of a hard-won victory. But the true keys I hold are to my future, forged not from brass but from resilience. They might have believed my story was over, written and sealed by their hands. Yet, I am the architect of my own design, and every single key to its blueprint, to its gates, to its every room, rests firmly in my palm. My plans are meticulous. The first phase involves a comprehensive modernization of the building's upper floors, transforming them into affordable housing for single mothers, while securing new, ethical tenants for the ground-level commercial spaces. Beyond that, I envision establishing a foundation, a legacy for women who, like me, once felt their power was locked away. This isn't just about ownership, it's about stewardship. It's about building a future defined by my values, not their shadows.